Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Classic Doctor Who. Today I'm going to be watching Sentence of Death, or Sentence to Death? Sentence of Death? I'm actually forgetting the name. That is kind of silly of me, is it not? Yes, Sentence of Death. And this will be the final episode of The Keys of Marinus, ending with, after this, the episode The Keys of Marinus, obviously. Anyway. Yes, and this also marks the return of William Hartnell as the Doctor after the last two episodes when he was on vacation, or holiday, as they say over there in the UK. Regardless, let's get right into it and start Sentence of Death and see if we get any explanation as to what happened that led to Ian finding the dead body and then getting knocked in the head. Anyway, I'll shut up now and let's get right into Sentence of Death.
Do you want to tell me where you've hidden it?
Hello.
Who are you?
I mean, you'd think...
Open your side.
Corded phone in the future. Yeah.
Where are we going?
Nice hats, bros. Snap, crackle, and pop. Sorry.
Yes. What can I do, Doctor? Trust me.
That's a classic Doctor line right there. Like, trust me. Do you trust me? That's one of the that's probably one of the first ways that at least I've experienced
beside the body, and there was blood on it.
that the Doctor has said something that sounds like the Doctor I know. And now I know there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening in the future, especially when it comes to the second Doctor. But it's like whenever I have these little glimpses of the Doctor that is to come, that I've experienced, I get so giddy at those moments, and it was just that those two words, trust me, and it just sets off such memories. Anyway, continuing.
No, that we know where the key is hidden.
But you couldn't know where it is. I...
Oh.
Looking in the front row.
But she can't have found it.
Oh. Dummy.
Recovering the micro key, remembering the evidence against him, his guilt becomes even more obvious.
What?
Will the prosecutor please summarize?
But you realize what this means. It proves that someone else was involved.
Duh!
The Doctor, quickly.
What does it mean? Kill me. Susan?
Oh, okay. So this one actually didn't end with the season, but anyway, that's interesting. So we actually did get sort of at least as far as the finale goes, a two-parter. That's interesting. So yeah, the logic there, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know it's just a show, it's from back in the 60s. However, the idea that that guy dying, number one, doesn't change anything, but number two, if... okay, basically, let me gather my thoughts for a second, and I will try and explain what I'm trying to think in a stream of consciousness. So, the guy dying, it's not only another murder, which is apparently very, very uncommon in millennia, or whatever the name of this place is, but not only does that not raise any eyebrows as to who murdered this guy, but they're saying that, him saying that they made me do it is referring to Ian and his people, none of them have weapons on them. So how would they have killed him without a weapon on them? You could go with the explanation of, oh, well, it could have been poison or something like that. But it's clear that despite the fact that there's like no sound effect for like a gunshot or whatever, that he was shot with some sort of beam. Which, well, that's what I take from like, the light getting super intense. So, just their whole path of logic there, at least in my opinion, has no logic to it. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, at all. The Doctor is right in that should have basically absolved Ian. But even if it doesn't just automatically absolve him, it's clear that they're not the ones that are doing this. And I just don't know. I don't know. Like the police force, did they refer to them as are those the Guardians or are the old men the Guardians? Regardless, it almost seems like oh, wait. It's, I can't remember the name of the bad guys, like the metal-ish people from the first episode. But they must be involved in some way. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And maybe these people don't know about their existence? Maybe? I don't know. But regardless, I'm theorizing so much. I'm sure we're going to get some explanation here. But that aside, one thing I also do want to comment on before continuing into this next episode, the fact that we got no explanation as to what happened between the end of the previous episode from the last video and this one. Like, no explanation as to how Ian got there by himself, where all the others went, because it's clear that pretty much always that they travel to the same location. So, how did Ian get there in the first place? Why weren't the others there with him? It's a huge plot hole that I'm going to try and ignore, but it really does bother me. It really does. But anyway, I'll shut up now, and let's get into the final episode of The Keys of Marinus. The Keys of Marinus. And go.
I understand and I sympathize with you. You must have been sick with worry since you spoke to Susan, but I just can't help you. I know nothing.
It's her.
I'm sorry.
No, wait. Wait. Did they tell her that she had spoken with Susan?
We had to try.
Did we really need the beeping? Did we?
Thank heaven you remembered reading Pirro, Doctor.
Reading? What are you talking about? I met the man.
I shall say that
They left.
they left.
Oh my god, I was right.
I think we'll take this with
Yes,
us.
yes.
Just in case.
Yes, give the old man the knife. Not the younger woman.
Even if we manage to untie ourselves with it. I don't understand you. We've done all these things for you. All you can think about is the key.
Forgive me.
And also, your head seems to be strangely
You've been
shaped.
my mind for so long.
It's just a model. No TARDIS sound. Really? Did it suddenly turn into the Twilight Zone? Next episode, The Temple of Evil. Okay. Okay, first off, same question just kind of pointed out, no TARDIS sound effect? Like, it's been all that time. Like, that was 6 episodes since they got there, and no TARDIS sound effect. That's weird. Like, I'm actually trying to think. That may be one of the few times we've seen the TARDIS, like, disappear or phase out, but them not use the sound effect. And I'm curious why. If that has happened and I haven't noticed it before, but a lot of you have very good memories, let me know, but I think that may be the first time that ever happened. Again, unless I'm mistaken, I have no idea. But yeah, that was very strange. Now, I mean, as for the story as a whole, it was rather interesting. This Keys of Marinus storyline, I really like the way they went about it with the different locations, the different, more compact stories for most of the episodes. I mean, obviously, it was like this one and the previous one were a bit of a two-parter, but the rest were more contained individual stories that just happened to be linked by the keys. So yeah, that was really cool. And I if I remember correctly, some of the comments in the other videos have pointed out that some of the future serials are going to follow this this formula more often. Not necessarily here in the first season of Doctor Who, but more going into the future, that will become a more common occurrence. Again, I could be wrong in remembering that, but I do really like it, and I'm actually quite curious how many shows back then did this sort of format. Primarily because of, I mean, I've watched a lot of old shows back when I was a kid. Like there were shows like I Love Lucy, Dragnet, the wide variety of old shows from, well, I mean, there were shows from back before I was a kid, but you know, still back in the black and white era of television. And I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any shows that really did that. Like, sometimes there would be a two-parter, as far as, like, you know, if something major happened at the end of the episode and they wanted to have people intrigued as to what happens next. But I can't think of any that did, like, multi-part stories, especially 6 episodes long. All episodes that were self-contained, but still had the overarching story. I am getting text after text after text right now. Okay, good lord. Okay, silenced now. But yeah, regardless, I really like how this story ended up going. I really hope that more of the stories in the future do follow that format. And I'm interested to see if the Temple of Evil, and whatever the series is that encompasses that, what it's going to provide as far as this classic Doctor Who goes. Will they learn from this formula that has been established here, or will it sort of go back into the one long story told over several episodes kind of deal? Yeah. I'm guessing that we don't ever see, was it Talos and Sabethia? I'm horrible at names, I apologize. But yeah, I'm curious if they ever come up again. I seriously doubt it. But it'd be interesting to see them, or maybe even their kids in the future, because it's clear what is implied. A very platonic, very sweet little romance that involved no sexual relations at all. But yeah. So yeah, this was fun and really interesting, and I'm looking forward to getting into the next episodes. Just so you know, as of the time that I am recording this, it is halfway through September, and the new series of Doctor Who is supposed to be starting, I believe, the 7th of October. So very soon. So I don't know how often I will, or how much time I will have to still do these Classic Who episodes. I will still try and do them occasionally, which has kind of been my output with them in general anyway. But when the new series starts, it will be my primary focus as far as Doctor Who related material here on the channel. So yeah, I just want to let you all know that, but I will do my best to get through the next serial before that happens. But yeah, I am looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about this particular episode as well as the series as a whole. What are your thoughts on the Keys of Marinus? And also, one last thing. I apologize for the distortion filters and everything else. The BBC has been extremely strict on YouTube lately. I don't know how much it might affect the Daily Motion, full/extended versions of the reactions. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I do apologize for the strangeness and kind of change in quality at times, but I'm doing what I can to where the BBC doesn't just outright block these videos, and it's a pain in the butt to get it to that point on YouTube. But regardless, I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. I will see you down in the comments, and until next time, everyone, for it's not the Temple of Doom, the Temple of Evil. Until next time for the Temple of Evil, I am Papa Kenn, and I will see you in the next episode of Discovering Classic Doctor Who.